So I have worked in marketing for about 8 years now, and I have been in a product management function within two companies for a little over 5 years. I would say product management is really the function of defining, servicing, and building better products for your client bases, internal and external. I find that working with all the function in the organization is really exciting as a product manager, and it's really my dream role to be able to turn my clients' needs and their pain points into amazing solutions that we can use to set industry leading benchmarks. First and foremost, the key to my success as a product manager is to know my client really well. It is critical that you are passionate about what your clients need and you do the work to understand how they use your product and what they need from your solution. It's only from that standpoint that you can innovate to build better products for them. Secondly, influencing definitely is a huge factor in product management. It is not a job you can do alone. And although we may set the roadmap and we may build out our business priorities from a strategy standpoint, we need our cross functional partners to be on our side and to want to work with us for our roadmap to become realized. And third, I would say you've got to have excellent communication skills. One of the jobs that I love doing as a product manager is communicating my vision and our roadmap and the strategy across our organization. We really are the cheerleaders for the product enhancements we make and advocating for our clients to empower them to use these enhancements. So I love the communication as well. So today, I work with my product owners to create epics and stories really based on a really well-oiled prioritization queue. I know my job as a product manager is to advocate for the stories that I feel like have the most impact for my clients and will need help from our agile group. It's really important that they understand the features that we're asking for out of the story and they can build out the complexity of the story so they understand what sprints they are going to be able to fit in and why. It's also important to have a flexible backlog so that if something cannot fit into a sprint that is scheduled soon, we know it is the first highest priority for the next scheduled sprint. I think I provide value every day. One of the things that I think puts me above other product managers is my ability to cross functionally influence a diverse set of teammates. When I came into my current position, one of the first projects I was assigned was a project for executive management, in which I had to work with a brand new set of stakeholders um, to produce a P&L for a product I had just begun to manage. And it was only through my exceptional influencing and networking that I was able to even meet the correct players, vet our information, and feel confident enough that I had the backing of senior leadership to present these results. We found with our results, we were able to completely reconfigure the pricing for my product line and introduce a new margin calculator that enabled us to win new business at a variable cost level instead of covering fixed and variable costs. It really allowed us to get out there and compete for deals we would not have been price competitive on before. So I normally refer to them as key performance indicators, but we do set objectives by the sprint and quarter level that tie back to the product strategy roadmap that I create every year. And at that time, we provide relevant KPIs that we'll use to track the progress and results of those projects and to present those success stories up through executive management and across the organization. We also provide multiple KPIs that we can use so we can frame that story for the best way for the audience that's receiving it. So, for example, if we're talking to operations, we would highlight efficiencies, maybe full time employee hours saved, versus if we're talking to product management executive leadership, we would highlight how many enhancements or the key functionality of the project we had just completed, perhaps new users, user engagement, that kind of thing. I like to think that product management really sets the strategy and the vision, and we work with engineering and user experience to help us bring those into reality. It's extremely important that as you're working with engineering, they understand not just what you're asking for, but the reasons that you need a product feature. Um, as product managers, we think that the way that we've envisioned it works for our users, but as engineers, they understand the complexities of our systems and they are perhaps best suited to tell us how they can integrate those features into our apps and services. Ditto for user experience. We have product visions, we have pain points we'd like to solve. For instance, we would like certain elements of data screens to be on one reading viewing pane or one page, and our user experience team is responsible for putting that together and letting us know what is realistic and what's not realistic, especially as it would concern our brand guidelines and our current digital strategies. Again, I think that your product success is tied to the voice of your customers. If you are in tune with your customers, internal and external, you know their problems to solve, and you really truly understand the ways in which they are using your product to make their lives or jobs easier, then you have a better feeling of if you're delivering against the promises you've made or not through your product. It's important to constantly grab feedback from your clients and your internal stakeholders, as well as when you're building these solutions, vet it with your stakeholders. Make sure that organizationally all of your functions are aligned and they believe in what you're bringing to market. It's also important we do a lot of pilot phases and testing. So when we are launching a new product, we are making sure that it is delivering versus uh, the services that we are promising to our clients. And if we need to do more work, we get in and do the work before we release it into the market. Definitely a tricky situation. I'm kind of in it right now. And one of the things that we are looking at doing is fine tooth combing through the requirements that we send to them. Um, we know that sometimes, even in clear written form, um, requirements can be interpreted multiple ways. And the first thing we're doing is checking each requirement to understand if what we were delivered is a variation of that requirement or if we are just completely far apart. Um, Afterwards, determining then is it just a lapse in communication that is not met, or is this a true miss on the delivery team's part? And from there, once we've determined, what the root cause is, reassessing what we still need to get done, how it affects our delivery timeline, and if there are alternatives that we can introduce that will keep our project on track and on time and on budget, versus having to completely step back and either leave features out for an next release or start from scratch, which is never ideal. Yes. So one of my jobs as a product manager is to make my product offering a more digitally advanced solution. So one of the projects I am working on right now is really exciting. We are introducing machine learning into our backend operations. We do a lot of work today where we are manually keying information from items that we're receiving on our client's behalf. And the machine learning technology will use natural language processing to automatically lift the text from images of documents and save us about 40 million manual keystrokes per year, which we vetted to be over $130,000 in year one of labor costs. So, extremely exciting and definitely a step in our digital transformation strategy. Yes, so I just alluded to a digital transformation strategy in a previous question. And this is a long term project that I have been driving now for about 18 months in my position. I started in this role, it's a legacy product in which we collect payments from our clients' into a treasury solution called Lockbox. It's extremely manual. There's a lot of mailing of paper, keying from paper, um, and just people, literal human beings touching these payments. One of the things I've been working on is to digitize all of these pain points and to eliminate inefficient options from our processing workflow. So, for example, we're no longer mailing documents to clients and we're imaging everything we receive so they can access their work online on our image delivery platform. We know our strategy is successful because when we compared what we call our technical implementation count to our overall implementations for 2020, we were able to see that we actually had over a 50% reduction in the number of new clients that were going and the technical legacy implementation route. So, one of the skill sets I'm really proud of within my cross functional influencing is that I really do use a lot of basic human psychology, strategy, negotiations, and game theory to understand what is motivating the parties involved and how we can build solutions that get everyone a net positive, or at least the group as a whole net positive versus what we have today. So, one of the things I like to do during discovery is to blatantly ask representatives from each function what they would like to see in this enhancement or product to be successful and to understand the frustrations that they have with the existing product today. We get feedback from all of our functions, operations, technology, sales, our clients, sometimes compliance and legal. And I put these pieces together to figure out what features and functionality are most important for our internal groups, what handcuffs we have, what roadblocks we might have, and then I apply that towards the vision that I want to see based on my roadmap. So I am a big nerd. I love to learn. I am constantly learning or reading articles, listening to podcasts. Right now, I'm taking a Code Academy course on data science and machine learning to brush up on my coding skills, for example. I also completed an MBA a couple years ago that focused on business strategy and decision making. Outside of that, I love catching up with friends, socializing, and watching right now a ton of TV since we're inside. Yes, I confirm you may use this video for hiring and evaluation purposes.